Okay, so yeah, we're gonna start with welcome and housekeeping. Welcome, and then the housekeeping really is just the agenda. So we're gonna do introductions, a little activity that we did on our 48th Ward staff retreat about, deciding on shared values. And then we're going to talk about our first project. And as I mentioned in one of the initial emails, the first project that I would like this Green Council to accomplish is some sort of community visioning process where the whole 48th Ward can kind of collectively decide on an agenda, priorities, et cetera, regarding sustainability and what they want to see us work on. And that way we're not kind of choosing projects blind. We have something to go on that we know will resonate with folks. So that whole community visioning process, be it one event, multiple events and surveys, et cetera, that will be our first project, if that sounds okay to everybody. So yeah, we'll do that. And then at the end, we'll just have some kind of logistical stuff, talking about regular meeting schedule, group messaging. I'm gonna try to set up a Slack group for the Green Council. That won't be required, but just if that's like easier for folks to get messages on their phones in like a group messaging app like that, then check email. I want that to be an option for people. And then, yeah, just some of that logistical stuff at the end. So that's what we've got on the schedule for today, if that sounds okay. So yeah, we can start with introductions. I'm gonna have our leadership team do introductions first, if that's okay. Not everybody was able to make it today, but some of us are here. So my name is Audrey. I'm the communications manager for the 48th Ward office, and I'm kind of running our environmental stuff right now, which I'm really, really excited about because that is what I feel most passionate about in this office. Graduated from DePaul University, studied journalism and environmental studies, and actually Arabic language studies. And yeah, I've been working in this office for a little bit over a year. I recently completed the C3, it's the Chicago Conservation Corps' leadership or sustainability leadership training, which I definitely recommend. It's like pay what you want, 8-week training, and then it's like everything you need to know about sustainability in Chicago. It's really awesome.
What is it called?
The C3 sustainability or leadership sustainability training. And I can send that around to folks too. I think they might be accepting applications right now. They do 2 cohorts per year. So they do like a spring cohort and a fall cohort. And I was in this year's spring cohort. And it's awesome because since I went through that training, that helps us get like a little bit of funding from them for hosting those meetings, the community visioning meetings. There's like an inroad there, which I'm excited about. But yeah, that's me. So I'll pass it over to Amina, who is co-chair.
Hi, my name is Anina, and like she said, I'm the co-chair. I'm currently at Loyola studying political science and environmental studies. So I was really excited to be a part of this group. I'm also looking forward to the work we're going to be doing because I feel like it's really important. And it's like cool that this is the first group for our community.
All right, go ahead.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Tim Kennedy. I'm going to be working as a leader in the policy group. I studied engineering at the University of Michigan. I've been working in industry ever since. I was in Boston for a while, came to Chicago in 21. My background is in software sales, physical component like semiconductor sales, and now I do product management. But across all of it, I've been in the climate space. I've done advocacy and lobbying for better indoor air quality standards. I've talked through automakers when they're looking to electrify, right? That was when I was more on the sales side of things. And now I work in the prop tech or property technology world, trying to help businesses and the built environment get electrified, be more efficient, save the planet, save some money. So that's my general background. And I'm excited, just like Amina said, to be working in the first sustainability group here in our community.
Excellent, thank you very much. And then we've got 2 co-directors on engagement. So I mentioned that the work that we're going to be doing, it seems to me that a good way to split it up would be into engagement work. So like events that we host, but also supporting engagement work that's happening in the community. And then education. So like, how can we, disseminate information to our community? And then policy. So like actually advising the alderwoman on policy that's in progress already. And then hopefully like getting things moving on her introducing some sustainability policy as well is something I'm excited about. So yeah, and so our 2 co-directors on engagement aren't here right now. And actually I want to take a second to, oh, Oh, okay. Hi, Kayla. Oh, I'm so sorry that I totally didn't recognize you.
You're okay.
Hi. Well, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm Kayla. I'm relatively new to Chicago. October will be 2 years. But I have taken the life that I try to live, like very green forward in every city that I've lived in. And I have yet to experience a city that's this engaged, so I'm excited to participate in that.
Hey, well, I'm so glad you're here. And then the other co-director on engagement is Shivali Tenor, who some of you might know because she organizes the Uptown Rhythm Festival. And it doesn't look like she's here right now. And I know she was having a little bit of trouble with the registration link. So I'm gonna keep an eye on my email and texts to make sure that she's not just like having trouble getting into the meeting and everything. And if she joins, I'll have her introduce herself in a bit. And then finally, our director for education is George Tully, and he was also not able to be here today. But I have bios for everybody already in that document that I sent around, so you can kind of get to know him that way. But he did want me to share that he's really, really excited to be working with all of you. And he should be able to be at the meetings in the future. So. Oh, and here's Shivali. Excellent. I'll stop sharing actually so that she can introduce herself. Hi, everybody who just joined. We're doing introductions. We just did introductions for some of the leadership team, and Shivali, I know you just joined, but if you're ready or when you're ready, if you wanted to give a brief introduction, let people know. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Oh, seems like my camera is not working. 1 second.
No worries, take your time.
Okay. Hi, sorry about being late. I totally
No,
lost
no.
track of time on a Saturday morning.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Shivali. I live in the 46th ward, and I organize the festival, Uptown Rhythm Festival in summer. But I'm very, the whole beachfront I kind of in love with. So when this 48th Ward Green Council came up, I said I'll get involved and help out in whichever way I can. I'm excited to be here. My day job is as a consultant. I do corporate transformation, so quite different from my non-day job. But happy to be here, and I'm on the engagement committee.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So yeah, that is leadership. And then next time that George is able to be at a meeting, I'll have him introduce himself again.
Hi, I'm Travis.
Oh, hi, Travis. Yes. And then Travis is our development coordinator.
Hello, everyone. My name is Travis Pleska. I've lived in the ward for like 10 years. I moved to Chicago and thought I would leave, and then they sucked me in. I've been here 20 years now. I'm on Lenny's Donated Advisory Council as well. I used to work for the city for like 7 years at the Department of Housing. Now I do affordable housing development. So that usually entails complying to enterprise green community standards. So things like windows, electrifying buildings. So like we do developments that conform to like green standards.
Wonderful. Yeah. And so we're really excited to have somebody who's on both the Zoning Advisory Council and this Green Council. And then also just like kind of engaged with what's going on with development in the ward, because development is a big part of sustainability work for our office. So yeah, having that connection is going to be super helpful. Yeah, Killian, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Killian Walsh. I actually grew up on the north side. You can do that. I am an environmental scientist, engineer by training, 20 years cleaning up Superfund sites, dioxin spills, etc. Now I'm not doing that, but I work as community building for decades. And I'm in the corner of Berwyn and Winthrop. We're sort of forgotten little hole here, but I create park packs if you want to be a pack. I did Cedar Play Lot, Broadway Armory. I love green events and composting. So I'm always looking for stuff over here to fix. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Killian. All right. And yeah, with that, I think I would love to have everybody in the room just introduce themselves briefly, maybe just name, pronouns if you want, and then where in the ward you live, or if you don't live in the ward, where you live, like cross streets or block, whatever you feel comfortable sharing. So yeah, we can start here. With you, yes.
Why me? I'm Rick Vallon. I'm parishioner at Church of Atonement on the corner of Ardmore and Kenmore. We are trying to get our church and our buildings sustainable. So we've talked to Lenny and and this will be real good for me because we're trying to get grants. We got a $250,000 grant from the city to do sustainable work. We just had our roof replaced on our church and we're looking at solar panels. So I've been a resident here in Edgewater for 14 years. I'm originally from Chicago. I'm a southwest side, actually, near Archer, Harlem. It's great to be here in Edgewater. I've seen the transition change and I'm looking forward to many more years of residing here and looking at what we can do as far as attaining grants to be able to finance not only our church, but things. And I'm also involved in, I've been working on the park on the corner of Thorndale and Sheridan.
Oh,
and
cool.
Cleaning up the park.
Oh,
So,
wonderful. Is that for 559?
Yeah. I'm working with a group on that, so I'm looking forward to doing a lot more work with parks in the community in our ward and maybe beyond.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Rachel Kennard, she, her. I live at Hollywood and Winthrop. So like.
Yeah, that's a great
2-minute
there.
walk
Yeah,
away.
awesome.
I'm getting my doctorate in communication. I want to work for the EPA or the Department of Natural Resources.
Oh,
So
cool.
this is
Awesome.
perfect.
Mariah Gilbert. I live on Glenwood across from Sept. Been in Edgewater since 2018. I'm a environmental engineer, do stormwater and flooding prevention projects. Just try to live a very sustainable life. I do composting and so just interested to see what kinds of projects to get involved in locally.
And then if you want to share again, tell us where you're coming from in the ward.
I'm Kayla and I live on Edgewater.
Hello, Eric Smith. I live in the best part of the ward, the uptown part. I love Edgewater too. Uptown Scopeville. Lived here for 5 years and I work for a local environmental nonprofit called Elevate. So excited to get started.
Wonderful.
I'm Theo Hardeville. I live at Thorndale and Sheridan. I do construction consulting focused on environmental
Very cool.
issues, sustainability and so forth. And I was involved with the first Chicago Department of Environment and was involved in community level education and see how I can help here.
Wonderful.
Again, I'm Tim. I'm on Thorndale and Clark, so also I run Clark.
Kevin Holtzworth. I live at Glenwood, just south of Devon. And I work at Pinterest on the advertising and marketing side.
Wow.
And I also lead our climate ERG Pin Planet, which has about 500 members. So a lot of that is leading our partnerships with like Rewiring America, Project Drawdown, like all of the climate organizations. I'm actually going to Climate Week tomorrow. And just my passion is around communicating climate sustainability because I think it really is a communication challenge. But I'm just excited to bring it local and just see how I can get involved at a local level.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Hi, Max Kernsky, they, them. I live over in Lakewood, Balmoral, right by the Unitarian Church. And I do water resources engineering, went to Loyola.
Awesome.
Hello, Adam Schwartz. I live at Hollywood and Kenmore, so just a few blocks from here. I don't have any academic or professional credentials in environmentalism or sustainability, but I have been getting involved in local organizing and I am very concerned about sustainability. So I thought this would be a great place to kind of start building on that.
Again, my name is Travis Kleska, he, him. I live in Edgewater Glen at Hood and Glenwood, and I work for a nonprofit called Full Circle Communities. We actually just took over the ownership of Hollywood House, so I'm working on Hollywood House, and we're planning a major renovation. of the building. And part of that could be working with Inflation Reduction Act to do like, so you could get like solar credits or like green credits to finance like making the building greener. So I do that kind of work. I work at different parts of the city. I have a project in Garfield Park, Humboldt Park, something out in Lake Zurich, and then this project in Edgewater that I'm working on right now.
I'm Carmen Vidal Hallett. I am an architect and an urban planner, and I have been living on Norwood Street, very close to Whole Foods for 20+ years. I am very environmental and focused on sustainability. I have my own consulting company, but I have worked for 14 years with the City of Chicago Department of Planning and Development in the lakefront and all kinds of developments around the city. So presenting to the Planning Commission every year. And I'm focused on sustainability. As I said, my passion is the stormwater management and weatherization. I have done many educational projects here, and I also want to teach bilingual because I speak Spanish. And yeah, I'm looking forward to continue. Like we had a project on Sen High School that because we did a rain garden there, and because of miscommunication, the crews over there removed it completely, thinking that there were weeds. But we have done work with Loyola. Sullivan High School has one right in front of their entry, and we like to collaborate with corporations that can pay for it.
Hi, I'm Joan Conover. I live in the 5600 block of Kenmore. I've lived in Edgewater for 25 years, and before that, Lakeview for 17. Well, I'm a Chicagoan. And I guess considering all these impressive credentials here, this is amazing. I guess I'm just your worker bee. Like, that's put me to work because I recently retired, so I have a lot of hours so I can contribute. Obviously, these are issues that are important to me because that's why I'm here. And I retired from education and publishing. So.
Hi, my name is Eliza Redwine. I'm at Catalpa and Woodcroft. My day job, I'm a data scientist at Caterpillar, but just wanted to get more involved in my neighborhood. Right, we'll share, I guess, 4 years now.
Wonderful. Thanks for being here. And yeah, I'm Audrey She-They, and I actually live in the 47th ward right now. Unfortunately, I had to move out of Uptown recently. I also lived in Uptown. I lived on Winthrop and Winona right by Gowdy, and I loved living on Winthrop and Winona right by Gowdy. I loved that apartment. I love that neighborhood. But yeah, I'm in the 47th ward right now, and the 47th ward has an excellent green council. I think that we can also learn from them. So it's good to have like a little bit of it in there too.
My name is Amina again. I've lived in the 40th ward my whole life, Glenwood and Olive, right between Pierce and Son, and I also went to Pierce and Son. And also my family has been in the ward for a long time, and my parents and my aunts and uncles grew up in the same house as me, so I've just always been in this ward in the same little area.
Great. All right, and then now on Zoom, I'm just gonna call on folks in the order that you're on my screen. And if you don't want to speak out loud and you want to share in the chat, that's fine too. But I'll start with Karen.
To unmute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm actually in my native Germany currently, so feel lucky that I can join on Zoom. Otherwise, I would prefer to go in person because Zoom and I are no friends. So I moved to Chicago and right into the 48th ward in 2010. And after life as a renter, I find myself an owner of a house there, an elderly house by now. And so this is very much the lens to which I see things, which starts from the solar panels I'm looking at, to thinking about if I should put in a rainwater garden, to the basement floodings I had in recent heavy rains. So it's kind of, for me, it's kind of all over. I was never professionally engaged in sustainability, But as I lived in Germany until 2010, one difference I see is that from the 70s, clean air movements, clean water movements, there was never kind of a break in Germany. That was the time the Green Party was founded. I remember very much that there was a Rome report on the limits of growth, which was discussed. And so for me, it was always kind of looking at my own footprint and how is this related to where I live, how I live, how can I kind of put a little bit help in kind of moving things along to where I think they should be. Of course, I'm very much concerned by now for my from the next generation, but I'm also feel kind of, it's nice to see so many people in the ward now getting engaged about this. After I worked for were engaged a little bit in the Edgewater Environmental Coalition, so I'm happy to see this in a broader way. And I think that's enough for me now. Looking forward very much.
Thank you very much for sharing and for being here. What time is it in Germany?
Oh, it's after 6 by now, so I can have a beer.
Wonderful. Excellent. Yes. Thank you for being here. And then next on my screen is Kelsey.
I hope so.
Hi, nice to meet you. So I'm relatively new to Chicago, moved 2 years ago and moved into the 48th ward about a year ago. I'm on Hollywood and Glenwood, which really love it. Sorry, you might hear my son. I'm at home today. It's just me and him. I don't have a strong professional career in sustainability. It's just always been a passion issue of mine, getting involved in the cities I've in. I worked for a little while in sustainable agriculture and urban gardening, but only for a few years. And yeah, just really excited to get involved in the local community and work with all of you. And hopefully I'll be in person next time.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining. Okay, next is Lisa. Oh, I think you're on mute. Oh, all right. Well, oh, there she is. Okay. Here, maybe I'm gonna click the button that asks you to unmute, and then maybe you can do it that way. There
Yeah,
you go.
thanks. I'm on my phone and
Yeah,
had
no
unmuted.
worries.
I had unmuted earlier, but then I was banging around stuff, so maybe somebody muted me. Thank you, Audrey, for forming this group and everyone there on staff. I'm really excited the 48th Ward is doing this. My name's Lisa Notter, and I live in Andersonville on Victoria Street for about 6 years now. I own a 2-flat, and I just retired from a career in nonprofit management, higher education, fundraising. I have been an environmentalist about 20 years, and my expertise in the environmental area is I became vegan for environmental reasons as well as others, and earned as soon as I retired, I got a certificate in plant-based nutrition from eCornell, and I'm doing my retirement career is kind of in the plant-based nutrition field. Kind of exploring opportunities there as a retirement passion. So very much interested in what I can do, what I can offer, and kind of come at it from all angles, from the health, from the animal advocacy, and the environmental. Oh, there's my cat. The environmental area, but the plant-based nutrition is kind of my specialty.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, next is Shawali, if you'd like to speak again and talk about, where you live. I know you said you live in the 46th ward. Up to you.
Sure. Yes, so I live in Buena Park, so Sheridan and Buena. So environmental wise, I think I was talking about Uptown Rhythm Festival is a dance festival, but the undertone is how do you get better acquainted with the rhythms of nature and then thus be more environmentally conscious. So we do talk about how small little changes you can make in your daily life to be more sustainable. So I'm happy to be here again. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And then Joseph introduced himself over Zoom chat. So I'll just read that really quickly. Introducing myself, my name is Joseph Welch, he, him. I've lived in the 48th ward for about 3 years, and I live at Ardmore and Sheridan. in school for architecture and urban planning and passionate about green initiatives to make cities more healthy for their inhabitants. And Joseph is really like, Joseph comes to every single one of our meetings, you guys, like talk about engagement. We're really excited to have you here, Joseph. All right, next is Joe. Sorry, Joe. Yeah, Joe P, and then we'll do Joe G.
Yeah, so this is Joe Phillip. I live near Thorndale and Kenmore. I'm a solar engineer, so I've been working in the industry for a long time. And then I just moved back to Chicago last year, and I'm really excited to love to see how I can use my expertise or help out with the group.
Awesome. All right, Joe Guzzardo. Oh, Joe Guzzardo just introduced himself in the chat. Joe is a retired software engineer. Oh, no micro camera. That's totally fine. No worries. Lives on Sheridan, right by Foster. And oh, your condo association just established a green committee. A non-apologetic tree hugger. I assume you share that with a lot of the people in this group. And yeah, we're excited you're here and ready to help out. Thanks for being here. All right, Michael Gams.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael, or Mike. I go to Loyola University and I'm studying environmental economics. I'm also the intern for the Edgewater Environmental Coalition. I don't live in the ward, but because of my job with EEC, I'm very active in the community and working with the ward. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're so glad you're here to help keep that connection strong. I want to be making sure that we're supporting local initiatives rather than like doubling up on the same work or stepping on toes and things like that. All right, Scylla, I hope I got your name right.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you. My name is Chilla Gal. I'm new to Edgewater and recently relocated relatively, and I'm a building engineer, building scientist, interested in historic preservation and environmental preservation, so it's energy efficiency and green materials. And for the last 10 years, I have done research in urban climatology. So in that aspect, I'm interested in how to deal with heat in neighborhoods and buildings, so overheating inside and outside, green initiative, etc., etc. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, jumping over to Dolores.
Hi, I'm Dolores Pino. I've lived in the 48th Ward for about like 3 or 4 years now, and I live on Winthrop in the block north of Hollywood. I'm an attorney. I was a biology major and pre-med undergraduate, and I have a certificate in environmental law from Chicago-Kent College of Law. And as a lawyer, I personally have found it difficult to have professional jobs doing, good pro-environmental work. So I'm a very passionate environmentalist in a lot of areas, and so I do it as a volunteer. So
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. And then I think that that's everybody. If I missed everybody, please, speak up and we can hear from you as well. Otherwise, I'll share my screen again. We can go back to the agenda. Okay, so that was introductions. Took a little bit more than 20 minutes, but that's okay. We're still pretty much on schedule, and I think it's good, especially in the first meeting, to hear from everybody. I'm glad that I got to hear a little bit more about what you guys all do for work and just in your lives. So thank you for sharing. Okay, and now we're going to move on to a values discussion activity. So this is something that we did at our 48th Ward staff retreat that I really liked, where basically the way it works is I have sticky notes on the table. And in the interest of being on the same page about our values as a group, what I'm going to do is give everybody a little list of sticky notes, and then just for a couple of minutes, ask you to write down words or phrases that are important to you and that come to your mind when you think about sustainability and environmentalism, especially in the 48th Ward, but also just in general. And so that could be like really broad, just like kind of feelings you have, or like specific projects you're interested in and things like that. And then once you do that, and I have pens that I'll pass around too, then you're gonna go stick them up on that board over there. And then if somebody has already put up a word that you have, I want you to stick it on top of that one. And then we'll kind of have stacks of values and we can see where we align and where we differ. And then if you're participating virtually, I would love for you to throw some words and phrases and values in the chat. And then after we leave here today, I'm going to compile everything and then hopefully make a cute little values graphic, add it to our documentation, and we'll go from there. So if that sounds okay to everybody, I'll start passing around sticky notes and then we can take a couple of minutes to do that. Some for you. Here, and I'll just give you, if you want to like, you know, rip these stacks in half and start passing them around, it'd be great. I think and then I'll go grab some more pens. You need the pen. Yeah, they're good. Does anybody else need a pen? Yeah, that's good. And I'm going to keep the chat open so that we can all see what everybody on Zoom is saying. Yeah, so just take this time to do some thinking, stand up, walk around, put your sticky notes on that board over there. And then while you're up, if you want, go into your pocket, go nuts. Do you want to take it? What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try to write down some of the ones I'm seeing in the chat and add them to the board. Yeah.
How are you? I totally didn't recognize it. I didn't even care.
No. Did you go to yoga at all? Yeah. Did you go to rituals? Do you know English?
Full circle.
I volunteer with
communities.
them.
That was hard living. One that shared. You live in Hollywood also? Really? Okay. Yeah, we should talk then.
I've been there like 3 years now and it's really nice.
I know.
That's because,
Some joining there, exactly.
well, yeah, I work with 5T. I'm happy to talk to you more about that. You were planning.
Starting is.
You know, the question of
So we just took possession
Yeah.
of the building.
I know, it's such a big store out there. I hate it. I do, my husband and I share a car, so like I do have a vehicle, but, I just like, I don't, obviously, I was just like, I don't have these cars. Yeah. Well, like, we have.
Not necessarily, we have to get the whole capital stack of funds.
Good one. We have an employee.
Address that, but.
Just like this. Yes, it is. It's like.
We took over that and then came here.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, that's the one that's so we took over that.
Like matching something from the program, so like kind of
No, because I did it with the city in Chicago. So I went to training, then I became a specialist. But
yeah, like to make the lead environmental. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I wonder how they're doing up there.
So we have now the ownership we hired. We were just having.
there's that, since then has been.
To get like stuff for them.
Right, that's why I got to do it. You would think of Don Carter when the whole.
I know the leadership structure with.
Amazing.
So like the property.
You're on an ERG at.
Yeah,
500.
yeah, like, but like, everyone is like is engaged, it's very like, it's nice to have. Kind of a Rolodex, if you reached out to anyone, to say like, hey, someone in policy, we need to do something, like, they'll, you know. it's like everyone is kind of declared an interest in it, and so, yeah, we have these monthly meetings, and it's always kind of cool to see what goes up.
I love the 22. Do you guys do work initiatives like within the company and its operations, or is it more of like work itself? Okay, we're all interested in it.
That was back when housing and DPD were.
One of the first things that we learned is that people.
They split.
They
were together.
They want.
And they split.
Some people. Some people are definitely more like.
They were
culture
separate, they came
carriers.
together, and
I want to plan events around Earth Month.
I say as I'm continuing to.
Things for climate week or whatever. Other people like me, like my clients. Yeah, they care a lot about sustainability.
They just broken up.
Yeah. And so that's like, I'm really interested in like the partnerships piece.
You work with.
And so like, if we reach, you know, like a half a billion people every month through this lens of inspiration and as a social platform, and I feel like that's an opportunity that I'm going to tap into, is like, how can we, what message are we going to send people in a mix? And so that's what I'm really interested
Jack
in,
is on
but
the
like,
zoning advisory.
it's really interesting to see how often we can cross-pollinate.
He lives in,
So I'm really excited about this coming week, this, and then we're meeting so many people that are partnering with over the last
I used to work
few
with him
years
at
that I
community
just have never met before.
Yeah,
one woman that's coming in Berlin, and she created like a community of creators who've been trained on creation and like the how to and we know that creators and social platforms are a really effective way to communicate on sustainability and like all the nuance of it. And so it's just really interesting to I don't know, I'm just really interested in that whole space and then like for partners like Rewiring America, or there's another one called Potential Energy. They've also studied what are the effective about sustainability and climate, and like based on different motivations. So it's really interesting. But I was reading that you work in policy too.
Project that's.
They're kind of varied, yeah, I've met all of them. A lot of the policy work I did was for two companies, so one company goes before that. One was selling like occupancy solutions, with the tilt of you can save money running your HVAC lights on something, but how can you publish that forward and say, here's how we're saving your machines?
Yeah.
So I know the bill of scale, and that's policy awareness of what like coming in, because people are doing like trade over is it worth it? Right. So if we can follow it up, like, yeah, we're helping. Kind of like rewiring, which is amazing. That
Does anybody have anything else to add
just
for?
the pushing forward of the for people, especially at the policy level. It's a great one. On the other side, I did semiconductor sales, and that was like very direct, like a lot of work, which is HVAC. That's all very tangible.
Yeah, it's funny. There's like
your air quality until like
since the
wasn't
start,
even
it's
a
like, yeah, there's just a
conversation.
bunch of.
So it's kind of kicked off this one.
Yeah.
But it was hard even on that moment to push it in the next 10 years. Because I know that there's some things that are also right now. And we are carrying it, like, how do you kind of like instead of a follower with HVAC, where it's like saying, if you want people to be it's like, here's how you gotta be clear about it, here's their limitations, you're not just wildly policy that goes.
Right. HVAC is really hard. It's like I'm really struggling with how low.
All right, let's come back together.
I find myself so many times talking to people. Like, and
All right.
when you think about like how quickly things move down in where we are, in the
Was writing down what you were putting in the chat and sticking it up on the board, so your ideas are represented up here as well. Just one more to add. But yeah, so now we can kind of see at a glance, the things that have a lot of sticky notes, like over here, a lot of people were saying equity, environmental justice, that kind of thing. That's like kind of what this big cluster is. Lots of stuff about recycling, and especially education around recycling seems to be a big one. Bicycle infrastructure, and then transportation stuff in general is a big one. And this definitely tracks with, the kinds of like phone calls we get as a ward office and the things people are concerned about, even if they don't realize that it's like policy stuff that they're concerned about. But yeah, so I want to leave this up and I'll take a photo of it before we take it down. And then I'll also compile this into something, a little bit more cohesive that we can kind of point to going forward as our list of shared values. So yeah, thank you for participating in this. I'm just gonna stick this one up here. I don't think I see it anywhere else. But yeah, so those are our values. And so definitely when the meeting wraps up, if you want to go take a closer look at what everyone was saying, please feel free to do that. And I'll send around a photo of it later as well. Okay, so we're at 11:51, which is actually, we've got a good chunk of time left. So what I wanted to do next is spend, let's see what I have on here. 40 minutes, that's actually about right. Talking about our community visioning event. And so I think I guess what we should do first is for people in the room to consider which of the three teams you're most interested in being on. And those don't have to be permanent by any means. You can kind of swap around from project to project. But if you're considering this community visioning process is going to be us asking the community what their priorities are, both in terms of policy, but also, well, really in terms of the three things that we're working on here: policy, engagement, and education. Like, what resources do they want from us? That's kind of an engagement thing. What events would they like us to see us hosting? And then what are their policy priorities that they want Alderwoman Manaa-Hoppenworth to be representing in city council? So assuming that's what we're asking from the community, from these community visioning events, take a second to think about which of those three things is most interesting to you. And for this first project, what you're most interested in being involved on. And then the idea I had is that we would start the brainstorming process by breaking up into those teams, and then we'll have a Zoom team that I will lead. And so we'll do some brainstorming with the folks on Zoom that way, if that works for everybody. Oh, Trisha's here. Hi, Trisha. But yeah, if that sounds okay to everybody. Well, and especially also because our education person is not here today, I'm gonna have the folks interested in education and policy team up. So I think what we'll do is, if you just think about this as being for today, this doesn't have to be permanent. If you want to think about engagement, maybe go to this side of the room. If you're more interested in education and policy, come to this side of the room. And then we'll meet in small groups to do some brainstorming. And Amina and I will like kind of hop around from group to group to like listen in, if that works for you. And we'll also facilitate like a third group on Zoom that wants to do some brainstorming. Does that sound okay to everybody? Awesome. Okay, then go ahead and sort yourselves accordingly. Engagement over here, education and policy over here. Especially thinking about that, if we're doing a community visioning process, what I'm imagining is that part of the education will be around like, what do people need to know about existing policy? So that's where that education engagement overlap is. And so Travis, I think it would make most sense for you to help on the education policy side.
Yeah, I gotta run. Yeah, looking forward to it. I love your book. I went to a costume party and the theme was strong female leads, and I dressed up as Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I got a costume from the place in Orange Park on Hollywood, on Howard Street. You could rent costumes.
Like the engagement side is gonna be a little bit right this time. But so that way and then that way. And note the light switch is on the outside of the bathroom.
But I had a big pearl necklace, I had a wig, I had a gavel.
Welcome to our side. I'll take the pity. Are you?
I just had soccer this morning.
Just a second, everybody on Zoom. I'm getting set up. Hello, everybody on Zoom. So the way we're doing this is we've got a team focusing on education and engagement on one side of the room over there. And then we've got a team focusing on, education and policy. And then we've got a separate team focusing on engagement. And so I figured for the Zoom group, we could do a little half and half. And so let's start with the education and policy side of things. If we're brainstorming about a community visioning process, what we need to think about in terms of that is, what do we need to know going into this process, and what does the community need to know before they give us their feedback and ideas. And so if we could start some brainstorming around that, I can take notes. And yeah, feel free to chime in the chat or out loud. We're a smaller group here because it's just me and you guys that are on Zoom. So go ahead, go nuts.
How about, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, fine.
How about, sources of money to
Okay.
fund projects? And my main one I love is at Scylla. And well, this is such a great group of people. And to remove heat from buildings. Remove heat from buildings. I live in a multi-unit residential building. And to kind of force or coax landlords into doing it, like turning off the gas stoves, like so in my building, there's 24-hour pilot lights going on many gas stoves. I don't know how many. And I had mine turned off and use an an induction cooktop. So, but my apartment is so hot. And air conditioning, it's so stupid when you're not removing the heat, the sources of extra heat from the buildings, and awnings on windows, like how to keep the sun out of windows. So I think a lot of people might have that problem.
Sure. Okay. So maybe I'll consolidate that into a bullet point as saying, like what we need to know and what they need to know is we need to know what exists in terms of current existing funding sources for green buildings, like green, like I'm not thinking of the word, but yeah, just green
or
infrastructure, green building infrastructure, like what already exists and what might we want to focus on as opportunities. Does that work as like a bullet point?
Yes, because on like a Zoom, I go on many meetings, and there was one like with it wasn't Sierra Club, but it was something, and there's like a huge amounts of money sitting there with the Inflation Reduction Act and other sources. So
great.
And it would
Yeah, thank you.
reduce the need for air conditioning. Like if we remove, sources of heat and put awnings on south-facing windows and or plant trees on the south sides of buildings, be very smart about it. I bet in Germany they already do that.
Yeah, maybe along with that. Yeah,
let's hear from Karen and then Joe. Sorry about that.
I'm trying kind of to wrap my mind around what you put as a exercise for us, and you talk about this community engagement. So I like funding sources. To know about funding sources is a very good thing all by itself. I don't see the immediate, but kind of starting to work on that would be good. Then the laws you mentioned, kind of one issue in part of dealing with climate changes, with heat, rain, different aspects we can meet, and which different people might experience different. So we could kind of start with a list of issues we can think about, but we should be aware that people might have other issues we can't think about. So how to open the process for issues we can't anticipate.
Interesting.
And then I'm thinking of how do we build a process where we can learn kind of what questions people might have to prepare for those questions. Those are kind of the rough parts I can see right now.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. So, and then Lisa asked, I'm a bit murky on the question at hand. Could you clarify? We're talking about a community visioning process, correct? Yes. And so actually, maybe what we should do first is talk about more of the engagement side of things, like what these meetings will look like. And something you just said, that gives me the idea that maybe what we need is more than one meeting. And the first meeting is to pull the community, ask what are your questions, what are your concerns, what are your priorities? And then the second meeting, we narrow down from there, something like that. That makes sense to me. So that's a good idea, and I'm writing that down. And yeah, because the way you just laid that out, Karen, makes a lot of sense to me. But yeah, right now we're just brainstorming about like what a community visioning process will look like, and what research we might have to do going into that process before we can feel ready to like host a meeting, for example.
Ah, thank you. That clarifies. Thank you.
Wonderful. Great. Okay, and then I'm writing these notes down, and I'll make sure that they end up somewhere where everyone can see them after the meeting and everything.
So, I filled out the survey online about the visioning for the spending of the $1 million in the ward.
Oh, the
that
participatory
process-
budgeting?
Correct. Yes, thank you. Forgot the phrase. And thought that was great to capture the people who wouldn't attend a meeting or don't have the time, the bandwidth to attend a meeting. And I'm wondering if that could be a part of this process as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Because I really felt like that worked well. I mean, it gave me space as a citizen to say everything I wanted to say about that.
And you're speaking specifically about the like the ballot where you officially voted on the projects,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you
Okay.
describe the projects and then you let people have and you know, I don't know, even just as an input gathering stage, a process like that could, you know, I think meetings are really valuable and you'll get some great input. But I'd love also to get input from the people who won't ever attend a meeting.
Right. That's a great point. Yeah, and that's a good note in general for like accessibility. We want anything we do to be accessible to as many people as possible.
Yeah, I totally agree. We had like a block meeting recently, and there must be several thousand people on my block, and there were like, I don't know, 50. So it's a big effort for people in their regular life to go to a meeting, actually. So we should think about other ways of engaging them. Also, like in the background of the EC, not everyone is online.
Yeah.
So maybe we think about that to actually go into the community, hand out questionnaires or whatever, just brainstorming.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I think that to bring it back to this, to the connection with the participatory budgeting process we're doing, we have the virtual ballot, and we also do have physical ballots set up in our office, but then also the libraries. Like I really like the idea of engaging, I mean, libraries always come to mind for me because they're just such a great like community center. But maybe even parks facilities, like really any of these public locations to help us encourage engagement, I think is always a good idea. Just a second, sorry, writing this down. And then something I want to note is that there was it wouldn't be the first time that this community has done a kind of like community visioning process. Like we've done that, or you know, previous alders have done that around like zoning specifically, or there was like an Edgewater specific one I know quite a few years back at this point. And so in terms of educating ourselves, I would want to make sure that we get eyes on those things, so that we know if we've asked the community to engage on these issues before, that we listen to them and incorporate that into whatever we do next. So in terms of our own research and our own education, that's something I'm writing down, that we need to like review previous community visions, and even if they're not specifically like sustainability focused. And then I saw in the chat, Joe said that he likes Slack or something similar, email's handy too. And yeah, I definitely think that I want to start up some kind of group like chat process, because I want this to be something where anybody who like has an idea or has, you know, random bits of free time and they want to get involved and do some work can reach each other really easily. And obviously I would continue to send out meeting notifications and like the most urgent information over email to the full list for folks who don't want to be on Slack, but I definitely think that that's a good idea in general. Oh, and I like this idea about partnering with the Peggy Notebart Center. I think, yeah, in general, like considering partnerships that we have with other environmental organizations and consistently bringing them in on the things we're doing, keeping them really aware of the things we're doing so that they can help us promote. That's something that I always want to be aware of, because of course my background is communications as well. So I'll note that down as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking something with this, with the funding and all of this that you had said on this overheating, and also there's the IRA money and electrification. A lot of it is like, when you look at it, it's targeted at homeowners and things like that. It's really difficult, I think, to like figure out for people just generally what's available, and then also for renters what's out there to help them as well. And I think it would be, and this might be further down the line, is engagement on these. If we can look for those funding sources and help people guide, you know, what are those resources that maybe are out there that are difficult to figure out for funding, but that can help alleviate some of these problems that they may have.
Yeah, I like that point. I was thinking about this too, just, you know, I was doing some general brainstorming, and I think that this is definitely a question we could raise in the community visioning process, like polling the community to see if this sort of thing would be helpful. But something that I think is that for, you know, whoever ends up working on education for the Green Council, a potential project could be putting together resource guides that really, like, here's a renter's guide to clean energy so that renters aren't like sifting through all of the homeowner tax credits, things like that. You know, just like creating easy to read resource materials could be something really beneficial that our group could take on.
Yeah.
I also think that combining a visioning process with some other draw for that, don't call it a meeting, right? But it's more of an event. Like, is it a repair event where you can try to get small home appliances repaired, and partnering with some of the groups that do that. They hold events where you can bring a toaster and try to get a toaster repaired instead of buying a new one, that kind of thing. Recycling or promoting things that people aren't aware of, like the composting that's available now, which is great. Like it's a day where you bring all your veggie scraps and, you know,
Yeah.
and then you also vision. So I think making it like you can battery recycle. It's so promoting it more, less as a meeting and more as an event and a visioning process, I think could draw more people into it. You know, and then again, promoting resources people aren't aware of, like Illinois has a law nobody's aware of now where children can request plant-based meals in schools.
Oh, wow.
Nobody knows that.
Yeah.
I mean, the small nonprofit that helped get it done, I mean, Pritzker signed it and everything. It's great, but it just hasn't been promoted. So, you know, the more plant-based meals that are requested in our schools, the better it's going to be for our environment here. So that kind of thing, if you made it more as a fair or an event, not to put tons of work, you know, make it resource.
Well, honestly,
savvy.
I love that idea. And I think I see why it almost seems like it would be more work, but it could also end up being a lot less work because, you know, for example, our office hosts these like electronics recycling events or shred events and things like that.
Right.
It's like if we're already doing that. But then I also just like this idea in general of, you know, almost sweetening the deal for people who we want to partner with us by being like, this would be an event where we invite people to do some community visioning, but also you get to promote this resource that you offer that people don't really know about.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, writing that down for sure.
Okay.
Like we've got pumpkin smashes, you know, coming up.
Yeah,
in the fall,
exactly.
so.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Can I chime in?
Yes, please.
I like it all. And I think a lot of people really would just love kind of to get some information for themselves, what they can do. So just kind of as from another perspective, this was all a lot about what single people can do, and single people can do a lot. I know that. That's kind of what I work for myself. What I see also is that Edgewater has challenges where single people cannot do really much, which is, for example, those record heavy rainfalls. Yeah, we can disconnect our downspouts as much as we want. This won't help us. Yeah. So there must be a community effort in breaking up these sealed surfaces so that the earth can take up more. I need kind of if I would be visioning, I would breaking up like parking lots kind of with permeable grounding, building, putting solar panels up there, putting trees up there, use those damn parking lots for something else than just cars. I'm kind of, so how could we, and this is might be really not for everyone, but maybe for some people, kind of really visioning about what is already available for single people to be doing.
Yeah.
Where do we want to steer and not everybody might be interested in thinking about steering somewhere for the next 25 years.
Definitely. I think that is a great point. And like that is a goal, I think. So George Tully, who is our education director, was not able to be here today, but when I was speaking with him about this position, something he said to me that really resonated with me was that he felt that working on this stuff is the best antidote to despair. And I really agree. And I think that's why a lot of people are here. And so what I like about what you're saying is that it's like, if we're going to ask people to engage on this topic that can be really stressful to think about, it's important to like let them know, here's what you can do right now, and here's what's available for you to do right now. Because if you're just asking people to think long term, then that can be demoralizing when nothing's happening right now. So yeah, education around what's available for you to do if you want to put boots on the ground right now, I think is great. Okay, and I think I'm going to bring it back to the main group here in just a second. And I'm looking at everything in the chat. Thanks for engaging in the chat, guys. Yeah, and I see there's a little bit of disagreement around this idea of like partnering with people who don't necessarily have the best image, and we could definitely like talk more about that. Like what partnerships with, city departments and things like that would look like. So just wanted you guys to know that I was kind of reading that conversation as it happened, and thanks for any ideas you shared. No wrong answers in this brainstorming process right now. So thanks for sharing, and I'm gonna add all that to the notes and keep it in mind. Yeah, Killian, what's up?
Hi, everybody. I just want to stress, and Trisha's on this call too, that we already have 20 years of experience with the sustainability in our neighborhood, with Edgewater Environmental. We have many packs. Hey, Trish. We have gardens. There's so many things to connect to already. How about having a fair that connects us all?
Oh, I love that. I love that idea. Yeah, Trisha, do you have anything else you want to say about that?
With cocktails.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that's a really excellent idea. And it slots right in with what Lisa was saying, where it's like, if both to make sure that we're not repeating work that's already been done, and to like kind of make the event seem more fun and joyful, like we could have an event that's like an eco fest, an eco fair, kind of like what the 47th Ward does, that connects everything that already exists and asks for community input and ideas for what they want to see going forward. I think that's a really great idea, and that's exciting. And I think that would be really exciting for people, and people would want to come to that. And then I think,
Oh
yeah, please.
Well, and we have to start focusing on not what the community wants, but what is the community willing to do. We need, if you're going to present it and you don't want to give somebody else a volunteer job, what are you willing to do? That's really how the focus helps.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great point. Writing that down. Not what the community wants, but what the community is willing to do. And then in general, just to the point about like, there are all of these existing projects and organizations in terms of our own research and the education that our group needs to engage in for ourselves before we embark on this process. It would be doing that research about what already exists and meeting with all of the organizations that already exist. So that we're not kind of jumping into this conversation with no context. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna turn off my camera and microphone for a second while I get us hooked back up to the big TV, and we'll come back together as a group. Thanks, everybody.
There's advocacy. It's like you have the blue bay, which like you said, for recycling. And I think they're saying like only about 10% of all the recycled goods and bins actually gets recycled. And the rest of it goes, so it's like, that's the policy. That's like, there's like agitation in the community. Because Lenny, if she wants to make a policy change, one thing needs a bunch of constituents to also be helping move the dial and making a policy change to sanitation, to compost, or to recycle, I mean, everything.
I have actually done that exercise with the community last week with stormwater management, showing people at different scales where they can do like Loyola is like. It's sharing. Example that every huge development should do. We are their collection in the center of the campus. And there's reservoirs that then clean the water in a purified way, it's just rainwater. And then what can be done at
the stories.
small for your and then
You know, 70 years old.
All right, I'm plugging in my laptop so that it does not die in these last few minutes of our meeting, but let's wrap up our conversation and come back together.
do it again.
So
But
engagement,
would be
usually have to capture people's imagination.
guidance to do it.
Project.
And
So that's, I find,
more
what I've done in the past is try to find something that people care about.
There has to be a common denominator.
Right, and then.
There's so many research, like Biden's inflation reduction, people don't realize. And then they'll pay for essentially upgrades to a building, like their costs, like. It's like a 1-for-1, like we're doing a project right now where it's like, we're installing a huge solar array. And like, it pays for both of them, I have like year 2, like our money that we did. Almost free.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement. Let's do it.
So close to the dogs, because they're like, it's very hard to use those pick up every day.
Sorry.
To bring the community in and hopefully when you go to Chicago.
Just past
recognition for our church and what we do for the community. But
Thank you.
Nice.
It's a great idea.
All right. I don't want to cut off any conversations. It sounds like people are having some really good conversations, but we are almost out of time for our first ever Green Council meeting. So yeah, I think what might be helpful is if everybody just kind of shared what they think are some of the most exciting ideas that their group had. Like what were some of the things that folks were saying that like you were most excited by? If anybody wants to share that with the whole group.
I can start some of the things we talked about. We talked about some events might be like a neighborhood trash pickup, some type of recycling event that helps educate people and actually brings in like recyclables and puts them in the right place. Maybe artwork with some plastic products so they get like a second wind at life. Maybe engaging with schools that have environmental clubs and seeing how we can partner there. Yeah, a recycling facility tour.
I think what they talked about was having an initiative, because it's so hard to communicate with people, is to, when we come up with an idea to have an event, we post it on social media.
And that's definitely something the ward office can help with. And it's one of the, I think the benefits of me being in both positions is that there won't be like a middleman between we need to post this on social media and that happening.
And the other thing was collaborating with other wards and finding out what they're doing. You know, they may be doing something, since this is new for us in the 48th ward, is to collaborate with 47th ward, 46th ward, 49th ward, to see what they're doing. And I think, and working with Kelly Cassidy's office, because I know they do a lot of things in the 49th ward.
Yeah, definitely. That reminds me of like of some ideas that our group had around like what a visioning process might look like. That sounds like what you're saying is if we wanted to have a community visioning event, tying that in with something else that's like an extra draw for people. So like a community visioning event that's also a pumpkin smash, a visioning event that's like also an electronics recycling event, where there's like something there for people to do that is action right now and makes them aware of a resource. And we're also asking what they would like to see in the future. And so that sounds like, like that could be a trash pickup. That could be like what you guys are talking about. And then, yeah, we also talked about making sure that we're partnering with people who are already doing the work and both learning from them and then supporting each other. Is there anything that your group wants to share about what you guys were talking about?
Yeah, I'll start where you left off, Audrey, there at the high level. We were talking about community visioning, equity being a big part of it. So having like a remote or form or online option for someone who can't make it. If it's someone who it's usually cooking dinner for their kids and might not be able to do otherwise, make sure that they can be in the room, not only active because they don't have the time.
Right. Yeah, we definitely talked about accessibility in that way as well. I think that's very important.
Yeah. Another thing we talked about was how to help people if we're casting this to the widest audience. And this is kind of a question that bubbles up to you too, is if we're looking to capture the widest audience. How can we help people like self-select into categories or initiatives or like focus areas right away that they're either aware of or want to learn more about, just to make it easier to start engaging instead of the big post or the big elephant in the room, which is sustainability. You say that and it means
right
things.
Totally. Yeah.
Show. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that idea. So it's like making it easy for community members to engage on a more niche level, specific to their interests and experiences.
I also brought up with education of like meeting people where they're at, because a lot of people don't know what they can do because it seems so big, or they just don't care. So like educating people on like how does this specifically affect you?
Yeah.
And like what is, even though it's simple niche thing, because there's a lot of things like more policy can do is the big picture. But and like you guys brought up, like not to put the responsibility on the individual, but if they want to do something.
Yeah, like making information easy to find.
Right.
And access. Yeah, I think that's a great point. Something else we talked about in our group too was like Maybe something that the education team can work on going forward is compiling resources and materials and like making resource guides that are easy to read and things like that. And then, yeah, so it's like some of it we like educating folks on policy that already exists, but specifically at the level of like, what does that mean for you as an individual or like as a household, et cetera. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Great point. Yeah.
Two things that I thought were important for the visioning meeting. The first is we should make sure that we let people know that this is an opportunity for them to pool their power to make positive changes and not us asking them to give up things that they love to, be more sustainable.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is where a lot of people kind of lose interest in sustainability is, well, I don't have to give up driving. I don't have to think about, recycling everything I get or stop buying anything that comes in plastic, but more about how can we make big policy changes? And second, making the event itself as fun and engaging as possible. Kind of like what you said, add something else that people can do there. So it's not just, another sit down and talk policy all day, which I don't think it was going to be, but I think we want to make sure people know before they get there, like, this can be something you really wouldn't want to spend your evening doing.
Yeah, definitely. Another idea that came up in our group was having, for our group, we want to make sure that we are as in the know as possible about what initiatives and projects already exist. And so one kind of event we could hold is some kind of eco fair where we invite everybody who's already doing this work together to like come have a table, and then it could be a community visioning event where people also are meeting the organizations that already exist and getting involved with projects that already exist. And I think that that's an idea of something that's like, would be really fun and active. You'd be like up walking around talking to people, not just like sitting, listening to a PowerPoint presentation. And yeah, in terms of the 48th Ward office values, like joy is a big one. And I think that's really important in environmental and sustainability work. Because yeah, another idea that came up is that if we're asking people to do long-term visioning, we also have to offer them immediate action, because that's what makes people like feel better and feel empowered. Whereas just asking people to think long-term can get demoralizing. So I think that that's really important. And I'm glad that everybody's kind of thinking in that direction.
Also, like, obviously, again, I'm thinking of education because that's the group. Social media is huge, especially if you're trying to reach a younger demographic.
100%. I like the idea of like every week in the newsletter having like a sustainability tip of the week. Like cute stuff like that is totally within our power to be doing right now.
And then you can put like a fun infographic.
Yeah, totally.
I think of like the Kamala Harris campaign. Kamala has like her main Instagram, and then there's Kamala HQ.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's towards like a younger millennial Gen Z group, and it does very well. Also educating, but in a different population.
Definitely. And so we are at 12:30. So anybody who has to leave, don't feel like you're skipping out early. If you've got to go ahead and go. But something that I'll kind of pin in my brain for next time is thinking about if we want to have Green Council specific social media accounts, because while the 48th Ward newsletter and social media and like we have a blog and everything will be available for us to use, if we want something that's like our group, our logo, etc., we can think about what that would look like too. And I'm open to that. Yeah.
From like a policy perspective, we were talking about like issues like at the city council as it relates, like, I don't know, some of you may not remember the blue bags with like the recycling. They were just like, put your recycling in this blue bag and put it out. All those just went in the garbage.
Right. Yeah.
And right now, only about 10% of the garbage or the recycling in the blue bins actually gets recycled. So I think it's important to seize this opportunity to bring people together for activism and to agitate people to also like get on board with like wanting to make a change in the city council where it's like, no, you're gonna have to 100% of the blue bins have to be recycled, and whatever that means.
Yeah, definitely.
You'll need people in political capital to push like something like that forward.
100%. I see it like the team working on policy for the 48th Ward Green Council. They're going to have a big role in like advising the alderwoman on policy, but also what you're talking about of like, it's not just us saying this, like getting community to gather around behind ideas, because that is something that is really important to the alderwoman. She loves community feedback, and like she does want to make sure that the things that we're encouraging her to support here in the office are reflective of the larger community. So yeah, I think that's a great point.
I think that's the the last main bullet point that I had for mine is, make sure we're centering around problems for people in the world. If it's a problem that they're not aware.
It's
a
nice
problem
meeting
that-
everybody. Thank you so
Of
much.
course, yes, thank you for coming. Thank you, thank you. Feel free to take a donut on your way out.
A problem like they're not aware, or they are aware, but they have an issue, like Travis was talking about applying for a grant for the project you're working on. I think he said Good City.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we're,
Like if someone knows about it, but they can't do it.
Right.
like, we're applying for, from Biden's Inflation Reduction Act program, and it's like a 1-to-1, where it's like they'll pay for your solar panels, and in year 2, it'll be like a free cost
Right.
essentially. And it's like, a lot of people don't know about these things. like
Yeah.
Different electrification programs where you can get credits to offset your like construction costs, so it's like, people don't know about these things, and it's like part of the responsibility of the alder is also to like channel all these programs and policies so people can start grabbing them and use it.
Totally, 100%. I think that connects back with this idea of the education team working to put together resource guides to make information as easy to
The
find.
fair sounds really cool.
Yeah, I like that idea too.
Sustainability
There
fair.
is a sustainability that's coming up next Sunday.
Oh, good to know.
Wave Chicago is hosting it.
Okay, good to know. I'm gonna write that down.
Was saying they would be a good person to partner with because they take a lot of really great recycling. So if you're interested, there's one next Sunday.
Awesome. And maybe I'll go and kind of be like, hey, do you want to come to?
Copy that.
Yeah, exactly. Next Sunday, you said? Yeah, so I think that's a great idea. Okay, awesome. So we've got lots of great ideas here. I think that what I have on the agenda for like the last little bit of this meeting, and again, if you have to go ahead. I'm just gonna run through some quick things. So where to start? Okay, so I think that going forward, meetings will probably be on Thursday evenings, because that's what was looking workable for the most people. But if it's getting to a point where that like is really consistently not working for a lot of people, we could switch to a schedule like how we do our ward nights, where it's the 1st and 15th of the month and that day of the week rotates. But for now, I think let's stick to like one Thursday a month, kind of like EEC does. And what I'll do is before then compile these notes into action items that I send around to folks, and then people can kind of sign up to work on whatever they want to work on before the next meeting. So that's a little bit vague right now, but that way I can just take what we've talked about today and then we'll get some next steps from that and then assign those to people to have ready for the next meeting. Does that work?
What time would we be looking at?
6 to 8:30 probably on a Thursday evening. We could do earlier, but I find that anytime we host meetings earlier than that, it's hard for people to get there after work. So 6 to 8:30 it'd probably be best. And we'll always have the Zoom option as well. All of our meetings will be hybrid. And also, yeah, feel free to send me feedback about how you feel the hybrid functionality of this meeting worked out. You know, was it easy to engage in the conversation via Zoom? How could it be easier? Let me know, because I want that to be like an option for people that feels like as good as being here or close. But yeah, and then I'm also going to work on getting a Slack up and running so that hopefully that communication can be faster for people who want it to be.
Are you gonna share everybody's names and emails?
I could, would you like me to, or would you like me not to?
I like to.
Okay, yeah, we could do,
We got a WhatsApp thing going there.
maybe, yeah, we could do is have like a Green Council directory and people can select whether they want to be included in it. Maybe we do something like that. That's a good idea. Oh, and then, so what I'll do also is show you really quick this Google Drive I've got set up. I will go ahead and share this around with people. It's pretty sparse right now, but I've got a folder for each team here, meeting notes. These are today's meeting notes. A resource library that just has some stuff that was sent to me over the past year, of like, you know, studies and surveys people have done. This is a huge list of brainstorming, like really it's chicken scratch basically of everything that people emailed me over the past year, making sure I didn't like totally lose track of any of it. So if you want to look through that, you can. We can also just kind of refer back to it later if we're coming up short on ideas, which I can't imagine being a problem. And then this about the 40th Ward Green Council document is where the leadership bios are. If you want to look at those again, that's the drive. I'll share that around with everybody soon as well. So I'm gonna make a list of Audrey's next steps. Within the next week, I'm going to set up Slack or something similar. Share around the Google Drive, get a directory going for people who want to, you know, have everybody's information shared. And like publish this meeting's notes and recording for people who weren't able to be here. And then send around a list of next steps for people to sign up or to accomplish before the next meeting. And then I'm also gonna officially set a next meeting date.
Hey, Audrey, I just wanted to mention that to engage the larger community, DPD has funds that, you know, they hire groups that are used to do that. And so that's another resource if you want to have a sustainable master plan for the neighborhood, just
sure.
Asking DPD is one thing.
DPD?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And the other thing is like ECC just hired me to do stormwater management for the community.
Okay.
And I'm glad to share it again.
Okay.
So you can understand the large picture, your block picture, and your house contribution to stormwater management.
You said it was ECC? Okay, great. Awesome. I will reach out to you individually to touch base on some of that, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I both of those ideas I'm interested in. Okay, thank you very much. All right, then that's it. Does anybody have any questions for me before we head out? All right, wonderful. Well, thank you everybody for being here. For real, take donuts on your way out. And yeah, thanks for being here. I'll see you guys at the next one. And thanks everybody who joined on Zoom. Thank you very much. You'll be hearing from me soon.
Thank you, bye. Thank you, bye.
Okay, that's the whole thing. I'm gonna end this meeting.
Nice to meet you.